Hello and welcome to Deliberately Creative. I'm Stephanie and I would like to welcome you to episode number 23 of Doodle Gems. This time we are going to do Ametrine. It's a beautiful purple and yellow stone that naturally occurs in only one place in the entire world. Come on and find out how easy it is to do this and a few little bits of information about it too. Alright, let's get started. Right here on the left, I have the color swatches for the Prismacolor. If you're using Prismacolor, go get your Spanish orange, Canary yellow, Parma violet, regular violet, white, and the Colorless blender. If you're using Crayola, and you can make beautiful stones with the Crayola pencils, grab the mango, golden yellow, mauve, orchid. I really want to encourage you to pick up a white Prismacolor and a colorless blender from Prismacolor, even if you don't have any other colors by them, because the white is opaque and it goes over all of the other colored pencils. The colorless blender works beautifully with Crayola pencils also. I'm going to show you really quick the colored gems. This was done with the Crayola, and this was done with the Prismacolor. Both are really pretty, and you'll be happy with whatever colored pencils you have. You can make a beautiful stone. So let's get started on this. So to get started here, I am doing a rectangular gem, and maybe I'll start with the purple first. So to get started here, we're doing a rectangular gem. And if you don't feel comfortable drawing this rectangle and nipping off the ends straight with the colored pencil, go ahead and super lightly draw it in with a regular pencil. What I'm doing here is I'm drawing two parallel lines, just two lines that are apart from each other. This is about an inch apart. You can make yours smaller or bigger, whichever way you want to do. And then crossing that line right here about a quarter of an inch in and extending about a quarter of an inch out on both sides. You can see how that's leaving you little, what's going to become triangles, because you're going to close the ends of those. And then you're going to close the end of the gem. And then from the left-hand triangle, the bottom corner of it, you're just going to make another parallel line and stop about the same place that you stopped before, and do that again on the other side. So now we've drawn this line. I'm going to come down about a quarter of an inch and in about a quarter of an inch from the edges, and I'm going to make a straight line across. Try and keep it parallel. You know, the more parallel you can keep your lines, the more real your gem will look. Your faceting will look. It'll look like a real gem, no matter what, but the more real the faceting will look. And then I'm going to step down one more time, about a quarter of an inch down, and about a quarter of an inch, maybe a little less, maybe more like an eighth of an inch in, and do the same thing. So what I've done is I've made three rectangles, or the half part, top half of 1, 2, 3 rectangles. And now I'm going to put a line from the first rectangle to the littlest rectangle corner, right corner, up to the middle rectangle, and from the middle rectangle up to that intersection of your first two lines that you drew. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Yeah, let's see here, can I get from this way? But this time I'm going to start from the outside and work in, just to show you it doesn't matter. In to out or out to in. We're going to do the exact same thing again with the yellow pencil. I'm using my darker yellow. I used my darker of my purples. And this end does not have to be as long as the first end, but I always do my big rectangle box, the interior big rectangle box first, because what I want to do is get my end closed in, and then draw that line down and make it meet with the purple line. Make it meet with the purple line. If it goes on the outside of it, that's okay. That's okay, because there's some areas where the colors will blend and go over each other. And there we've closed that in, just like we did before. And now I'm going to come down about 1/4 of an inch and in about 1/4 of an inch on both sides and go straight down. And then the same thing and down. It looks a little wonky. That's okay. Remember, we're doing hand-drawn. But if you feel more comfortable using a ruler and making perfectly straight lines, please be my guest. Make it something that makes you happy. The whole process should just make you happy. And then I'm going to connect those lines with the diagonal corner lines. Diagonal corner lines. Just like that. And look at that. The doodle around this isn't going to be really big because, well, I made kind of a big gem. So I'm going to go ahead and continue with that Spanish orange. And I am going down here and I am going to color about half that small inner box. And I'm going to reinforce my corners and color up about half of that box. Now these are trapezoids inside here. And now the yellow end of this gem, some people call it citrine, other people call it a golden amethyst. I'm not sure what it is, but what all of my research that I found said that this color on this end is because when the quartz crystal was being made, there were iron deposits, iron chemical in the quartz, and as it was being made, the quartz and iron reacted with each other and created this golden sunny yellow. Just like the other end with the chemicals and minerals created the amethyst purple end. Pretty cool. And if it's cut a different way, it will actually look like a pinwheel and be triangles of yellow and purple going around. That's pretty special, I think. It's only found in one mine in the entire world. And now I'm basically going through and giving myself kind of a darkish, not totally hard dark, but coloring it a little bit. Going the direction of my parallel lines here, up and down, my long lines, following the long lines on the long side. And on these lines, I will follow horizontally like this. One of the reasons for leaving these spaces is because this is a transparent type gem or translucent, but light is bouncing around, and I'm saying this is transparent. Over here at this end, there's going to be some purple. And where that purple blends over the yellow, it's going to go towards a brownish tone. And that is really how it looks in nature. When they are cut, when you take a natural stone. But now that one mine that they're found is in Bolivia. And it's the Ahane, A-H-A-N-E, mine in Bolivia. They are the only place you can find these. And now I'm going to go ahead and kind of darken up a little bit. And then grab that canary yellow and deepen up and sort of expand my lines just a bit, but deepen up that Spanish orange with the canary yellow. And sort of leaving that ever bit slight line of white, if I can. If I don't, it's not a big deal. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to make it all the way through every single spot. The color moves around and bounces off one side and then off another. There you go. And now I am going to grab, I think I'm grabbing my Parma Violet, because what I want to do is in that little section here, I want to put a little line, sort of go up onto that yellow a bit, but I sort of want to make it pointy, a little pointy. There you go. And then up here, we're going to take a line of the purple and sort of fill in that white space that we left. And then up here, we're not going to fill it in solid. And we're going to put just sort of an outline of that purple right on that end. Okay, that almost looks like a Superman S starting there. That's weird. Okay, that just happened, and I just said something about it because I didn't know if anybody else would say anything about it. Now I'm grabbing my Colorless blender, and I am working that purple into some of the yellow around it, which is going to make it go brownish on some of that edge. And that's what I wanted. And the same thing with this one. But the Colorless blender is nice because if you're coloring it over some of these other colors, like where that purple met up with the actual yellow and Spanish orange, I can sort of push it around just a smidge. Just a smidge. And I think I'm going to grab my violet, give it a little bit more darkness, just a bit, and a little bit over here in the corner, and then maybe not exactly the same. It's going to have a reflection in this corner. That reflection was sort of in the middle. It's just the way my eye is seeing this. Now I have looked at a whole bunch of different gems, a whole bunch of different ametrines. There are some that they had that were showing the natural stone without it being faceted. That's just the crystal point. Because this does grow in points, just like the regular quartz crystals. I'm just going to pull a little tiny bit of that because there's a little bit of pencil, a little bit of purple pencil on my colorless blender. There we go. And then now I'm going to go ahead and start coloring in that purple. I'm going to use the dark violet and get it laying in here in some spots. And this end does not get much in the way of the yellow. It's not a direct correlation that if I put purple over here, I put yellow over there. It is not balanced. It is sort of random feeling. But if you think about it, the yellow would have a harder time overtaking the purple. Purple can overtake yellow more easily than yellow over purple, just because the purple is a darker color. Yellow is not. And now I'm sort of coloring across with the purple. There's going to be some little highlights out here. And because I'm going with my highlights kind of across this way, I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Just because. But then I want some straight lines down here with a dark line up above. A lot of this is looking at actual gems. Look at the gems. See where the colors change and move and go from one side to the other side. It's very surprising actually how the color moves. I'm going to put that purple right down into that area there. This is the Parma violet. We're going to leave some of that white standing nice and tall, nice and prominent. But some of it is going to go away. There you go. This stone is not so many layers. There's a little bit of layering here, but it's not so many. Once you've got the outline done, and you're going in and filling in these colors, it flows together pretty quickly. So you see that. All right, and now I want to grab my colorless blender and sort of blend these colors together down deep. Just sort of smooth them out. I don't want to wipe out all of my whites, but this junction where the purple and the yellow sort of overlap, they actually grew together. And so there might be a little bit of that brownish tone line showing up. And I'm going to pull a little bit of that purple into the yellow going across, so that way the yellow looks like it has highlights in it. And then I'm leaving some of those white spaces and just coloring. This is really very relaxing. It doesn't have to be hard work. It's just coloring. And you're learning how to blend your colors You're learning what happens when you put yellow and purple together, getting kind of a brownie tone. That's because yellow and purple are complementary. They're across from each other on the color wheel. So when you put yellow next to purple, the yellow looks brighter, the purple looks darker, it looks more intense. There we go. Look at that. Look at how that just blended down, smoothed out. And that's without even putting any white on here. But now I want to take a little bit of my white colored pencil. Go ahead and put a couple of those lines over here with a bit of that purple on my pencil. I was just transferring that color around a little bit because with the colorless blender, if you don't clean it by running it off on another piece of paper, you can actually move the color around your page without having to color more or putting a heavier application of your dark color on. You can just pull a little bit of it, move it around. Okay, I'm just using my fingernail. I got a little bit of a spot and I just wanted it to move. So look at that. Now we're going to grab the white. I'm just cleaning it off a little bit because I don't want to start off with it getting the purple into the white, with the white into the yellow. But I'm going to go and not on these outside part. I'm going to go to the next rectangle in and I'm going to give it some lines across. And by taking these lines across, it's not as apparent that it's a highlight in the yellow section. But when I take it across the purple, you can start to see that I'm making this shadow, or making this highlight, and having the light just shining off of it in a flat, almost like it was going to turn completely white, but I didn't want it to be completely white. I want to get it dulled down some. Okay, so now we're gonna play with this for a little bit. We're gonna see. Well, I know I want to reinforce one of those white highlights down here, and maybe one of these little triangles in that end there. Reinforce those white highlights left from the pencil not going, from just the white paper. Just reinforce them a little bit. And then the same on the other side, just reinforce a few of those. We're trying to sell that this is a hard, glassy, shiny gem. Trying to sell that. That there's a line that catches the light right here, and that there's a line that caught the light right here. And a little bit of that line there. And a tiny bit there. So look at that. That's looking pretty cool. Now we're going to go ahead and do a doodle. And because it's a rectangle stone, it's a little bit interesting to doodle around. And because this is a faceted stone, you would normally have a setting that would be prongs that would probably come up on these corners, these four corners here, and these four corners here, and hold the gem like this. I'm not too worried about doing what would really happen. I think we're just going to make a pretty setting to go around it. And I'm going to go ahead and put like a bezel going around. Again, if you need to use a ruler, go ahead. It's okay. I'm gonna wing it, fly by the seat of my pants, which is okay too. All right. And I think I'm going to go ahead and put another outline around this. And remember, we are doodling. If your pen skips, don't worry about it. If your lines are a little wonky, don't worry about it. Many things can be covered with shading. Many things can be covered by just coloring it in black and making the line look the way you want it. Totally good, totally fine. So let's see. I think this doodle is going to have triangle there and sort of symmetrical there. Remember, this is twisted on my paper itself. When I laid it down, I did not lay it down straight, and that's okay. And then I think I'm going to go ahead and put a triangle here and a triangle here. And I'm going to go ahead and make that triangle thicker with an outside line. Just one line at a time, and you see how quickly this is going to build into a really detailed doodle. So now I'm going to do a circle with a circle inside. A circle with a circle inside. That one's going to get a circle on the outside. You can do it either way, any way you want to do it. I did that little bit bigger circle on there because that, I think, is going to be the top. I want the yellow up top, I think. It's either that or it's the bottom. Like that. Maybe that way. Who knows? We can make those decisions as we go along. So there. And now I'm going to do, I think I'm going to start right here at the base of this triangle, go up and touch that circle, and then come out, touch that flat bit. How's that? Now the tricky bit is starting here, coming up and touching the circle. Oh, my pen is skipping. I'm going to turn it sideways a little bit. Circle, come down and touch that flat bit, and then come back along the lines. Well, it's not too bad. It's a little bigger. It's okay. This is a doodle, and I enjoy my doodles. So this time I'm going to see how I do if I come this way, touch, and swirl, and go back on itself with a little bit of a margin so that it gives it some thickness. And the same thing again. Start at the base of that triangle, come up and touch the edge of that circle, swirl down, touch there on that flat part of the gem, and there. And again, they are not perfectly symmetrical, but they're pretty. They're pretty. That's what we're going for. That is what we're going for. Now from these, I think I'm going to start at this circle and come down and swirl in this way. I'm making up this doodle as I'm filming it. So I'm not sure how this is going to end up looking. Boop. And because I didn't quite touch when I went past the first time, I just touched when I came back. This one's opened up a little bit more. That's okay. It's okay. Starting at the circle, coming down around, touching that other swirl, and swirling back. Starting at the circle, coming down, going across, touching that one, and swirling back. Look at that. But look how detailed it's already starting to look, and we've only been doing one swirl at a time. It's not hard. It's not hard. And remember, none of mine are symmetrical. None of mine match. And if you look at this, you're not worried about it not matching. You're looking at it going, oh, that's kind of cool. What's she going to do next? Well, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to pull a swirl off of there and touch the circle. Coming back down, back to that. This is very organic. It's very branch and tree-like. You start with one grows off of it, and you just keep going and going as many times as you want. Now I am going to put sort of a rounded V, and then I'm going to do some stripes in that rounded V. 3 or 4, up to you. Rotate. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to come from that circle, and I'm going to go up, and then I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to come from that circle, touch, up, and then do a rounded V. And put the lines in while I'm here, instead of going to the other one to put the lines in. And do a rounded V, put the lines in, there we are. And now I want to put a couple petals on either side of those rounded V's. And they're just little teardrop petals. Just little teardrop shaped petals or raindrop shaped petals. Or you could draw a heart if you wanted to. And then put a line through it to make two teardrops. See what I did? I made a heart and then just took a line from that center point down. That's a very easy way to get two petals that sort of match along. But this one here, I'm going to slip a third one in because I want to, not for any other reason. Not for any other reason except that I wanted to. Look at that. This is looking really pretty. It's getting more and more detailed. I'm going to go ahead and put another swirl going this way. And another swirl going this way. And do the same thing over here. Another swirl going this way. And another swirl going this way. And then I'm going to put a rounded V on there. Rounded V. Put my lines in. Lines in. My little teardrop petals or heart with the petals being made by drawing that extra line. And remember, your doodle does not have to look like mine. We are not copy machines. We are individuals that can make our own decisions on what we want. I'm just showing you one idea. And I think that this one's getting another little triangle inside, and it is getting colored in. I could have just put the triangle there and then colored it with colored pencils, but I kind of like the idea of something on here sort of anchoring the whole thing with a little bit of this black pen. Not a lot. Not a lot. Alright guys, here we are. It's all finished. I would love it if you would click the like button if you like this video, subscribe to my channel if you aren't already, leave a comment in the comment section. Tell me what you liked about this. Tell me if there's a gem that you would like me to try to do. And if there was something that you didn't particularly like about this video, go ahead and let me know that too. I want to make these videos as easy to understand as possible so that you guys can be successful making these gems also. Please go ahead and share this on your social media and share your pictures of gems with me on my Deliberately Creative group or my Deliberately Creative page on Facebook and on any of my other social media that is listed down below in that description box. And as always, go out and do something creative. Take care.